What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Chae Cole, and let's just hop into this. I could have kept it going with "Help, I'm single," but I thought, you know what? Let's just break it down old school style. Living single, living single. I understand that it's that time of the year, right? Valentine's Day is right around the corner, and some of you are still single. You ain't got no boo, you ain't got no bae, you ain't got no date for Valentine's Day, whatever. You might be doing Galentine's Day, or you might just be chilling, right? So I think it's important that we talk about this, right? And how we navigate the single season of life, if you will. So let's just hop into this because I really want to encourage y'all, man. Like, on the real, I think sometimes we view our perspective of singleness and what that is skewed because we see, all these great things in terms of the benefits of marriage, and you're thinking everybody now your age or in your class is getting married, and now you're upset. You're like, man, God, where my bae at? Where my husband? Where my wife at? And that's a real thing, right? If you desire to be married, if that is something that you want, it can be tough, right? It can be challenging to navigate. How do I handle this? How do I deal with this? Because I don't want to settle for just anybody, right? I don't want to just settle for the option that I have, or what's convenient, right? I really want to enjoy marriage and enjoy this part of my life. So God, what are we doing here? How do I navigate being single? So I want to encourage those who are listening, those who are watching on YouTube, that the single season, whether you realize it or not, I think is one of the most important seasons of our lives, right? Like, I want you to really understand the criticality of that decision of who you marry, who you entertain, who you date. Even think about some of the relationships that you've been in, or some of those potential ones, right? Those situationships, maybe, that you've been in, and how that affected you from just your personal well-being, right? Your mental health, even sometimes. So that decision, I would argue, is uh, the second biggest decision outside of choosing to follow Jesus Christ, right? That's the second biggest decision, because marriage affects more than just your sexual desires and having that companionship, right? It affects your money, it affects your mindset, it affects where you go in life. We talk generational wealth, we talk these things, but none of that can happen outside of the family, outside of the core unit, and having someone that understands, the vision, the goal, the dream that you may have, or their dream, right? And how do we build this together? How do we create this foundation? And, a lot of times you'll hear that, there's an attack on marriage right now, or whatever the case may be. And I would argue that that's been the attack from the jump, right? That's been the attack from the garden. So to say that it's an attack right now, like, yeah, you're right. um, Kudos to you for being right about that. But it's always been the attack. It's always been the agenda of the enemy. So, but that's a whole nother subject. Let me get back on track with talking about being single, because I think it's hard to enjoy your present season when you're already thinking of the next season. And so I really want to hone in on you as singles who may be listening to this, to truly enjoy this season of your life, to truly enjoy this part of your life. Find out what it is that you enjoy. Find out more about yourself. Date yourself, right? Grow your relationship with Christ. Date yourself. Find out what it is that I like. How did God wire me? How did He create me? What are the things that I like? What are the things I don't like? Right? What are the things I enjoy doing? Right? Travel, explore the world. You don't have to wait for someone to be interested in you to do these things, right? Like, date yourself. Go on these trips. Go places. Go try these restaurants, right, in your city. Go sit by yourself. Just have a little talk with Jesus, right? You never know who you're gonna meet at the restaurant or at the place, right? So, putting yourself in position as well, that maybe if that is your desire, that you meet someone. And let me go ahead and talk about this while I'm here, because I think some of y'all could have a boo, some of y'all could have a bae if you would stop putting these guys, stop putting these ladies in the friend zone. Like, you got options, right? There's nothing wrong with going on a date. There's nothing wrong with getting to know someone, right? But I think too, before we get carried away with that, is to make sure that your intentions are known, your intentions are clear, right? If you're not interested in going further with someone, let them know. Like, let them, and be honest. And when I say this, like, this hits home differently, because I think a lot of times we when it comes to, rejecting someone or turning someone down, like, be clear with that. Like, don't beat around the bush, right? Like, don't try to salvage someone's feelings because you're not interested. Like, let them know straight up, like, I think whatever, I'm just not interested, right? I don't see you that way, or whatever the case may be. I'm not dating right now. I'm not looking for that right now in this current place and space that I'm in. Be be real. Be real about those things, right? Like, don't lead me on thinking that I have a chance if I don't, right? And like, just tell me straight up. Tell me how you feel, right? Like, I might be hurt for a little while, but that hurt is better than, like, dealing with maybe I do have a chance, right? Or maybe I should, because I don't think, we hear these conversations about guys applying pressure and all this kind of stuff. I don't think guys have a problem with applying pressure. It's just, we ain't trying to come off like we begging for your attention, right? Like, we got options too. So, so just being real with you, right? It's, we don't want to come off as if we're begging or, thirsty for your attention and stuff like that. So if someone is trying to make that, approach to you, or not saying you doing too much now, because we understand that it has to be a balance, right? But just being intentional about those things, and letting people know where you stand, where you're at, right? If they don't have a chance, like, don't provide them a false sense of hope that they do, right? Because that can be painful, that can be traumatic as well. Also, in terms of breakups, let's go ahead and go here. Talking down on your ex, or whatever the case may be, I want you to understand that no matter what happened, no matter the situations and circumstances, I understand they might have done you wrong, they might have done you dirty, whatever the case may be, but understand, at the end of the day, they're still a child of God, point blank, right? They are still a child of God, and some of God's children may need a little more attention than others, right? They need a little more work, and that may be the case with them, but that doesn't give you the green light to, downplay them or talk bad about them. At the end of the day, they're still a child of God that God has to work with and work on, right? And there's some things within yourself, perhaps, that you have to work on, and take that self-reflection, that self look at yourself, and just really think, like, what did I do wrong? What can I improve on, right? For the next season, for the next phase of my life, right? Because if you desire to be married, this is the only time, for believers, this is the only time that you'll ever get to experience being single. So there's no takebacks, right? So yeah, enjoy this season, man. Enjoy this time that you have, because it's, like I said, it's the only time that you get to experience this part of your life, this journey. This is time for you to grow your relationship with Christ, grow and find out more about yourself, learn more about your what it is that you like, what it is that you dislike, what it is that you want to do. Like, you have full control over, in partnership with God and the Holy Spirit, you have full control over where it is that you go, the decisions that you make. You can up and leave the city that you're in. You can go on vacation when you want to. There's food in the refrigerator when you get home that you packed, right? That you brought back. Like, it's still there. Nobody's eating your food. Like, that in itself should be enough to appreciate, right? So we'll talk about this a little bit further. I'm getting excited already. So we'll be right back. All right. The scripture for this episode we go into the message version, y'all. And if you know where I'm going, because this is what I always like to use when I'm talking to the singles. So here we go. 1 Corinthians 7, verse 17 in the message version. It reads, "And don't be wishing you were someplace else," single people, "or with someone else," married people. "Where you are right now is God's place for you. Live and obey and love and believe right there. God, not your marital status, defines your life. Don't think I'm being harder on you than on others. I give the same counsel in all the churches." So the key there is to be satisfied with where you're at, right? So we got something in there for the married people too, right? That you made your pick. You picked who you picked. That's till death do you part, right? That's what it is. Unless there are, some biblical things, we understand those things, and this isn't a marriage podcast. We talking to the singles today. So that's your nugget for the married folks. Now, it says, don't be wishing you were someplace else, right? God, not your marital status, defines your life. Some of you are sulking and complaining because you are single, right? You don't have a man, you don't have a woman, you don't have a bae, right? You don't have a Valentine. It's okay, right? Like, God defines your life, right? And I could go to the portion just above where Paul suggests that he wishes that everyone were single like him, that most people were single like him, because being single is a gift. And I need you to understand that being single is a gift. Let me say it one more time, just in case you try to skip over it. Being single is a gift. And so we have to take into account that we must appreciate this gift that God has given us. Like, how much time can you be devoted to God, first and foremost, right? You can do all the different things like serving in your ministry, in your church, right? Having that prayer time, having that quiet time by yourself, spending that time with God is a whole lot different than when you're married or in partnership with someone, or having kids and having children, right? That time that you get to spend, like, be intentional in this season. Also, think about from your career standpoint. Like, some of you, women included, are career-oriented, business, entrepreneurial. Think about all the time you get to spend on your craft, on that thing in your career, building these businesses and platforms. Think about all the time that you get to do those things and enjoy those things. Amazing, right? So being single is a gift, and I want to encourage you in that, right? Like, there's so much more time that you get to spend on these things that otherwise, you're catering to someone else. You're, if you're doing it right, right? You're catering to someone else, right? You're being intentional to her needs. You're being intentional to his needs, right? And you're joined together in doing life and in doing this thing called life, right? Ministry, business, whatever, right? Building something that God can be proud of together, right? And I understand, like, that is so important. That's the dream. That's the goal for many of you listening and many of you watching. Like, that's the goal. That's what I want, God. So I really want you to really think about those things and think about the largeness of marriage. It talks about that in another verse, but the largeness of marriage, like, this isn't, as I said earlier, so you can get your sexual needs met and, have covered, relations, if you will, right? Because if you're single, you shouldn't, and saved, you shouldn't be engaging in those activities anyway, right? So it's deeper than that. That's really what I want to drive home. It's deeper than that, and having someone to buy you flowers and things like that, right? Or buy you your PS5 game or whatever you're into, brother. it's deeper than that. You know what I mean? It's larger than that. Think about the kingdom impact. Think about the mindset required to build a family, to create a sustainable family. Think about children, if that's your desire to have and raise children. It's deeper than just the feelings and all the emotions and having someone laying next to you in the bed, right? It's deeper than that. And I really want you to drive home and really think about, like, what is it from my perspective? What is it that I truly want and desire from marriage, from singleness, right? Like, is there anything in me, if I'm single, and for those of you who are single, is there anything in me that I need to work on, that I need to heal from, so I don't bring in this baggage or this trauma into a relationship? Is there anything that I want to do? Right? Are there things in my career that I want to continue to excel towards? Not saying that the right person, if they come along, won't help propel you into those things, but is there something that I really want to do, and having this could be a hindrance, right? It could hinder me from achieving those things. Men, we want helpmates, not hindrances, right? What do I bring to the table? What do I bring? What can I bring to a relationship? Can I be satisfied on my own? Can I live on my own? Just because I have a partner doesn't mean that that I can't be the individual person, because we can't lose ourselves in our marriages and lose ourselves in our partners and romantic partners and relationships, because then that thing will become an idol, right? Don't let marriage, don't let your partner, if you're dating someone, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, right, your husband, your wife, don't let them become an idol to you, that they take the place of God, that achieving and having a boyfriend, a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, a fiance, that it becomes an idol to you. Enjoy this season of singleness. Enjoy your time. Continue to grow, continue to develop in whatever it is that God has called you to do, right? Like I said earlier, it's hard to enjoy this season when you're so concerned about the next season. I would argue that once you get serious about this season, perhaps he sends it. Perhaps he sends the person, right? So I hope this episode encouraged you and inspires you in this season of singleness, right? Whatever that, however long it is, can you be okay, right? Can you be all right? Can Jesus be enough? So that's going to do it for this episode. Yeah, that's it, man. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the podcast on whatever podcasting platform you're listening to it on. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Cole Therapy. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, right? Hit the notification bell, all that YouTube stuff. Do all that. And like this video. And yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, I am your host, Chae Cole. And until next time, peace.